I wonder how many of you guys are going to watch the video for this, or just like say Ms. Rice uses a calculator. I'm going to go ahead and just say use a calculator for this because you guys have done enough by hand. So we're going to go ahead and let's go ahead and graph the vertex first because we can figure out where that is pretty easily. So vertex is -5, -7, left 5, down 7, -5, -7. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and just plug this in the calculator and get my points that way. I'm going to type this in as 2 divided by 3. If you type it in as 2/3 as a fraction, it's going to give you all fractions to graph, and that's a pain. So just type it in as 2 divided by 3. So now I'm going to hit the math button. Math. Go over to number. Use number 1. Number 1 was absolute value. Sorry, I did that fast. 2 divided by 3. Hit the math button. And then if you go over to number, you can see ABS. Like it makes sense. Absolute value. Okay. X plus 5 with a -7 on the end. Okay. So there's our graph. I'm not going to graph it from this. That would be terribly inaccurate. I'm going to hit second graph and I'm going to look at the table. And -5, 7 is the middle. So I'm going to go to -5, 7 because that was the middle. Oh, this is perfect. I'm going to avoid the decimals and I'm just going to look for the whole numbers. So -2, 5 I can graph, and -2, -5, -8, -5. -2, -5, -8, -5. I think I can do some more in the positive direction, maybe. 1, -3. There you go. Okay. So here's my graph. Okay. So it says to find all of the characteristics. Might be helpful to have your packet so you know what they all are. So domain and range. So we have to think about how far to the left the graph goes, how far to the right it goes. We have a left arrow. We have a right arrow. So left arrow is -infinity, right arrow is +infinity, okay? And then we have to think about, for range, how far down the graph goes, how far up the graph goes. The graph goes down to -7, and then it goes up 2 arrows. So it goes down to -7, and it goes up to arrows, so that's forever. That gets infinity. -7 I can put my finger on. That gets a bracket. Okay, next on the list was the vertex, and I already found that, so I don't have to find that again. So I'm going to go ahead and flip the page over. The next thing on the list is increasing and decreasing intervals, and I use the stick figure for that. So I think about my little stick guy. If he's walking, he's going to be walking downhill, so he is decreasing. And then he gets to the vertex, and then he starts walking uphill where he is increasing. And so I've got this x value, and this x value, and this x value. So this x value over here is a -infinity. Right arrow is a +infinity. The x value at the vertex is -5. So for the increasing interval, I'm going to write down these numbers. Again, no bracket on the -5 because when he is right here, he's not walking uphill or downhill. It's just in between, right? So increasing is -5 to infinity. Decreasing is the word right in between these values, so that's what I'm going to write there. Okay. Next on the list of vocabulary words was max and min. You're always going to write down that you tried to find both of them, but for this particular unit, there's only one or the other. These graphs don't have both, they just have one. So this graph has a lowest point, it does not have a highest point. So for max, I'm just going to write none. I'm not going to ignore it, I'm just going to say none. The minimum value is the same as the vertex, it is the vertex, so -5, -7. Okay. Okay, next we got to find the intercepts, x-intercept, y-intercept. I probably put the 2/3 there so that the intercepts would not be obvious from the drawing. So we're going to go back to our graph. We're going to have to make this graph wider. If you remember from the notes, if you can't type in the window, if it's not on your screen, you're not going to be able to get it. So I need more values over here. This is going to be x minimum values, so I need more of those. So x minimum, I'm going to type -20, just make sure it's plenty big enough. There we go. Okay, so for the x-intercept, if you're looking at your notes, x-intercept is second trace number 2. So I'm going to do second trace number 2, the zeros of the graph where the function or the y-coordinate equals 0. For my left x-intercept, I'm just going to look between -20 and 0. It's somewhere over here. So -20 and 0, it's somewhere in between there. -15.5, okay. All right, my other x-intercept, I'm just going to look between 0 and 10. So look between 0 and 10. Remember, I always ignore the guess. The guess is never good. Okay, 5.50. Right. Okay, next I got to find my y-intercept. So if I look at my notes, that says second trace number 1. Second trace number 1, and we're plugging in 0 for x. 0, -3.667. Okay. Next we have continuity. Are the graphs continuous? Answer is boring, yes, always. Then we have end behavior. We got to look at the left arrow. We got to look at the right arrow. So for the left arrow, well, they both go up. So for both of these, I'm going to say positive infinity, because we got up, up. So left arrow goes up, right arrow goes up. And so when it says find all the characteristics, that's literally what it means. Isn't that fun? Those were all the characteristics. A lot of times transformations are included in that too, so let's go ahead and find the transformations. We probably should have done that first. 2/3. 2/3 is less than 1, so that's a vertical compression. 2/3. Left 5. Down 7. Boom. Done. Whew.